to see everyone here. So just a few reminders before we start the program. It's a rule in Mind Museum that eating and drinking inside the auditorium is not allowed. So, so we cannot also serve merienda here. Anyway, if you're hungry later, there are several outlets outside, you know, and within BGC. And also, but you can bring your bottled drink. So what's only allowed is water, bottled drink. Okay. Also, passes are for auditorium only and not inside the museum. So you can't go outside and go to the other areas of the Mind Museum. So if you want to get your tickets, they are sold at the counter. It's also free seating here, so you can sit anywhere you wish. And toilet is just outside the auditorium. We step out here towards.
Hello. Okay. Good morning, everyone. The time is 9:02. First, we would like to thank everyone who got here on time or earlier. Thank you for weathering the storm. We will start in a few minutes. We're just waiting for the registration to close. Again, thank you for being here. Okay, we'll start now. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How's everyone? Good? Oh, great. Oh, well, yeah. Okay. Over here? Okay. All right. Okay, good morning. Again, thank you to those who came here on time and who went early. And thank you for going through the rains. We're just very, very glad to have you here today. This is very special to us. So MLAC, my mom's institute, has this parenting academy. So it's a talk workshop annually, so every year. You know? And this is very special because it's been 3 years since we had a face-to-face parenting academy. So it's still so different. No? Ibang-iba talaga pag face-to-face. It's different from just staring at the screen. So nice to see your actual faces here today. So good morning. And we're really excited to start. This is our 9th Parenting Academy. So we've been doing this for 9 years already. Oh, thank you. All right. So, and another thing that makes this event very special is not only is this our 9th Parenting Academy, but my mom is also relaunching her classic book, her first ever book, Filipino Children Under Stress, which you have here. I believe you have the signed copy. Okay. All right. So a little bit more about that later. Okay. But to set the mood, as you know, MLAC also stands for not just my mom's initials, but mindfulness, love, and compassion. So to set the mood, we will have a mindfulness exercise, care of our team member, Tita Bless. Oh, you're here. Okay, Miss Bless de Assis.
Hello, good morning. I'd like to reiterate what Tito Chris said. It's so nice to see all of you. We feel the energy, and it's nice to have a communal energy as well. So, okay. So thank you, Tito Chris. Dr. Honey has always shared this belief with parents, and of course, for all of us who worked with children one way or another. And she said that they have the power to teach us the greatest lessons we will ever learn. Piero Ferrucci, an author and psychologist, also says that the journey of parenting is much more than what we call tourist excursion. I think when you go inside the Mind Museum, it reminds you of childhood memories. And Tess and I were saying we'd like to bring our nieces and nephews. But it was also a spiritual path and a succession of experiences that unveil the profound meaning of life. Thus, knowing our personal stories, and I think as we listen to the talk, you will also remember some of your personal stories. And it gives us a glimpse of how our life is. It can give us insight into how we can live and parent mindfully. How do we sustain that, especially in these challenging times? This non-judgmental awareness or meditative awareness. Mindfulness teachers, including our own, Tita Honey, reminds us to generate and regenerate the intention to be mindful continually. So despite the challenging times, it's never too late to take in the beauty of the landscape of our lives. So today, I invite you to think of an intention and fold it into your heart. Pause and be aware of the truth that can be revealed, and use this truth to shape and direct our efforts to be kind and compassionate people. So let us begin by sitting comfortably. With your back relaxed but straight. Ensure that both feet are flat on the floor, and then let your eyes close or soften your gaze down to the floor if that feels right. As best as you can, take your attention to your breath. Notice each breath and sense how the chest rises on the inhale and how it falls away on the exhale. Using your breath as your anchor to the present moment, and each time your mind wanders away from the breath, simply noticing it without judgment. Bring your kind attention back to the breath. Feel the breath as it moves in and out. Breathing in, breathing out. Observing the rhythm and the quality of the breath just as it is. Now send your breath into the places in your body where there is tiredness or tension, and let it melt away in exhalation. Let the thoughts drift away, gently bringing your attention to your breath. When you feel ready, direct your attention to your body. Imagine your breath flowing into the parts of your body that come to mind, one at a time. Sending appreciation and kindness with your breath into these parts. Breathe your gratitude into these parts of your body that help you live life, and notice the experience. Notice how your body is being nourished with this breath. On your next inhale, remember the parts of your body that are not how you would like them to be. Breathe them into your heart with kindness and gentleness, trying to accept that they are also a part of who you are. Sense how this can also be nourishing. If you are ready, move your attention to your immediate surroundings. Keep one part of the attention to your breath. Feel the air coming into your body, and with it, whatever beauty is around you. And breathe out gratitude for this beauty. Breathe in the color, the temperature, the shapes around you. That is what is pleasing. And notice how this feels replenishing. Shift your attention to the noise, the suffering, to your surroundings that are harder to appreciate. Imagine breathing in compassion. Imagine inhaling light and warmth, whatever you and your surroundings need now. If it is challenging to connect to compassion, try to return to that sacred space inside you. Allow yourself to be nourished, if possible, taking in the kindness around you, letting your heart soften. Breathe out, gratitude for the variety, time and space to do this meditation. Breathing in the kindness and compassion with each inhale as much as possible. Trusting the abundant wisdom in your body to live just right. Allowing yourself to be soothed with each compassionate inhale and exhale. Move your attention to the people in your life, past and present. Breathe in the essence of what they have offered and shared with you. That which has been easy and that which has been difficult. Now with each exhale, imagine exhaling compassion with each breath. Notice how your heart opens or wherever you feel kindness and connection in the body. You can extend this compassion to someone you know needs it right now. Or you might want to send out compassion to everyone around you. Breathe in and continue to breathe out with ease. Breathe out your gratitude for them. When you are ready, bring your attention back to the breath as it moves in and out of the body. Moving your fingers and toes. Offering a prayer of gratitude for life and for being fully present. Thank you.
Thank you very much, to Bless, for that very calming and grounding mindfulness exercise. So thank you for setting the mood, and thank you for your calming presence as well. All right. As we let our guests come in, well, just letting you know that with every MLAC event, it's really a team effort, as you can see. You know, so you get to meet the different team members of MLAC. We have different roles. So the next part is we will already introduce our speaker for the day, and the person that you've been waiting to listen to. And to introduce her is our executive director and a good friend of mine, Ms. Hannah Murillo.
Thanks so much. Good friend of mine, Chris. Salamat. Good morning to everyone. Good morning also to those coming in later. Maraming salamat and welcome to our viewers online from the This Eskwela platform or private group ng Globe. Maraming salamat, Globe, for offering this online experience and opportunity for everyone who can't be here. 75,000, more than 75,000 ang members nila, and we're able to bring access to those who need it most. Maraming salamat. Sige, para makapasok lahat, yan. Because of the inclement weather, we're experiencing We're especially grateful that you are here in person. As our team members also said, we've really missed this kind of atmosphere with everyone. The personal energy that we feel. Thank you also for grounding us. Bless. Thank you. And thank you everyone for being here. Okay, meron pa bang papasok? Okay. So I'll be introducing our beloved mentor and also, okay, we're ready. And also our speaker for today, Dr. Maria Lourdes Honey Arellano Carandang is the current president and founder of Mindfulness, Love, and Compassion Institute for Psychosocial Services, or MLAC Institute, a pioneering mental health organization that heeds to the changing psychosocial needs of Filipinos. She brought play therapy to the country, also founding the Philippine Association for Child and Play Therapy, or PhilPlay. She is the author of 13 books that have had impact on Philippine psychology and on the lives of Filipino children, families, and communities, such as Nawala ang Ilaw ng Tahanan, about Filipino migrant workers and their families, The Path to Healing, a primer on family violence and its prevention, and Filipino Children Under Stress, Family Dynamics and Therapy, which an updated copy will be relaunched today, or will be launched for the first time today by the DLSU Publishing House as a DLSU Classic, the first of its kind. She is recognized as a national social scientist for translating the scientific principles of psychology for the understanding and well-being of the Filipino people. In her 4 decades of practice and academic work, she was a president of the Psychological Association of the Philippines, editor at the Philippine Journal of Psychology, chair of the Psychology Department in the Ateneo de Manila, and led many programs and researches with international organizations, nonprofits, and government bureaus. She has been awarded the first ever Outstanding Professional for Psychology by the Philippine Regulatory Commission, Most Outstanding Psychologist of the Philippines by the PAP, Doctor of Science Honoris Causa by the Ateneo de Manila University. Dr. Honey is a mindfulness practitioner and teacher, having trained under Thich Nhat Hanh. Presently, she delights in her senior years at her nature sanctuary in Tanawan, Batangas, with her husband, Dr. Briggs Carandang. She is a proud mother of 3 grown boys and a doting grandmother. She actively mentors and is an invaluable consultant to the Philippine psychology and mental health space. Friends, colleagues, family of MLAC Institute, it's an absolute honor to introduce to everyone Dr. Honey Carandang.
Thank you, Hannah, for that beautiful, very generous introduction. Wow, it's so nice to see all of you. Hi. I'm so glad you made it in this rainy, rainy day. Thank you so much. Your presence is so valuable. Makes us very happy. Okay, so do I call Chris? We'll start. It's not a lecture. It's like a conversation. So the title, this year we decided to have the title, Healing the Family, and empowering the family as protective force in our children's mental health. And I think I'll give the mic to Chris now.
Okay, just a brief background.
Okay,
So,
yes.
my mom requested for me to converse with her instead of having a more formal talk. We found that this is more conducive, making you feel more at home, and later there'll be more time for your questions as well. And we've done this online, and we found that a lot of people appreciated having a casual conversation. So we'll see how it goes, ma'am. All right. Okay. Would you like to sit down?
Sit down.
All right. Parang nasa bahay lang. All right. Okay. Well, just to facilitate the flow of our conversation, I think what people, our guests here, want to know maybe is why the title of our talk. So the title is Healing the Family, Empowering the Family as a Protective Force in Children's Mental Health. So every year we choose a theme or a topic that we feel is relevant to that year. So for example, last year we talked about fostering truth-telling, and then the year before that had to do with courage. So we try to really find a theme or a topic that we feel is relevant. So why healing the family?
Yes, talking about relevance, I think maybe all of us here feel the stress, the external factors, societal factors that are impinging on the family. And as you know, the family is the burden carrier of the social order. Whatever happens in society impacts on the family. And you know very well that there are so many things we're dealing with now. We all feel it, the stresses, no? The extra-familial stresses, which are in society, but you also need to know the intrafamilial stresses. So to give a total picture, we will look at the stresses that are impinging on us and also the given stresses within a family, the inner stresses, no? The intrafamilial. Okay, of course, you know, aside from the traffic, I put that first, aside from the traffic, the political situation, the toxic politics, I will say it now, lying. Lying has become a way of life, and it's no longer, you know, a surprise, or it's maybe not even given enough attention anymore. It's just taken for granted. And what will our children learn? Aside from that, of course, the very strong factor that all of us are connected with, which is the gadget, the digital technology, and the distractibility that comes with that, no? The addiction. Maybe all of us are somewhat addicted to the gadget. It's made to be addicting and very attractive. And now what does that do to our family relationship, communication? How do the children, you know, communicate now with each other and with the parents? And I'd like to say that in the past 3 years, maybe because of the pandemic, and even beyond, like now, one of the biggest factors that has affected our children and the adolescents is the social media. It's very, very powerful. And from our experience in the team, this is not yet a statistical study, but from our own experience as a team, the referrals for young children being depressed and suicidal ideations has increased. Maybe you would know people working with maybe double or even more. So I think we have to tackle all these really strong forces that are impacting very much on our family. And how do we do that? That's what we will talk about. No? Because we also know that aside from these external extra-familiar stresses, we also have built-in intrafamiliar stresses like conflicts between parents, between siblings, etc. So we have that built-in, and we're dealing with these external factors that are very, very strong now, and I'm so glad that you're all here to discuss it with us, because it's something that is actually already alarming. And we're glad we're looking at it now. So thank you. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, just listening to you enumerate all the different extra-familial, and you haven't even gone into the intra-familial, it feels overwhelming already to think about all of these factors, and I feel like everyone can relate to this. No? And yes, especially during the pandemic and daming referrals, overflowing actually, anxiety, depression is high, so we get a lot of clients asking for help. No?
Yes.
So with all that, well, our title is Empowering the Family. How do you even start empowering the family so we can protect ourselves from that, and particularly our children's mental health?
Yeah, big question. I think that we have to start with something. When we try to look at a problem or try to solve a problem, the first thing we need to do is to be clear, have clarity. What is it that we are dealing with? Maybe we can label them so that we are able to name them, and when we name these factors, we have more power over them. We can handle them better. But if we just say it's all stresses and we don't become clear and specific, they handle us. So now how do we handle them? Okay, so maybe we can start with, we have to start with the social media. I think that's probably the most powerful ever that's not been there during my time when I was parenting. And so that one, we start with that, and how do we regulate it? There's so many. Of course, we also, the crowdedness, the traffic, the daily stresses that we experience from going from one place to the other. It's not a joke. It's something that we need to really consider, no? Because it erodes our energies. And so how do we conserve our energy during these very, very difficult, challenging times? And remember, the other important thing is that the pandemic may be over, but the effects of the pandemic inside us, in our bodies, in our family members, is still there. It cannot just go away just because the pandemic is not there anymore. We still carry that inside us, and I'd like to talk a little bit more also about that. How the effect of the pandemic is still with us. The anxiety that was there, in fact, the face-to-face, even transitioning, no? From online, which is so stressful in itself, transitioning to face-to-face, which is so nice and pleasant. We still have requests from schools, for example, how do teachers prepare for this face-to-face? There were schools that were saying that children, not only the children were looking forward to it, but they also felt some awkwardness in dealing with each other because of the lack of experience in talking to each other face-to-face. Excited, but still a little bit uncomfortable, anxious, and sort of hesitant. No? But the teachers were really also anxious. How do we go from online to face-to-face? So that was also one of the things that was asked. Okay, so now I think that what else do we clarify? That one. And then, of course, the political situation, I must say, there's a lot of hidden stresses, hidden factors that we are not talking about, that are not being brought about, but the anxiety of the uncertainty of what's really going on is always a question in our minds. No? So the toxic politics and lying and the decrease or the kindness starting to disappear, I think it's very important for us to be aware of all these things. So in spite of all these stresses, I think we also have to look at it in a balanced way. We've survived because we have each other. We survived because we came together. We felt we belonged, and we were not alone. in the crisis situation, it's so important to know that you are not alone. So it's so important that we are here together. And whatever is happening around us, we know we're sharing it together, and that makes a big difference. We're not alone. So, yeah.
Yes, thank you for highlighting that. So you mentioned social media, the politics, and you highlighted also the adjustment to going back to face-to-face. I think a lot of people, it's normal for us to be eager and excited and to really be grateful that we can see each other face-to-face. At the same time, maybe we don't recognize that that also entails, even something that's positive, entails an adjustment. No? Right. Maybe that's not much, that's not talked about much. No? Oh, can you expound a little bit about how, like, what kind of adjustments do people need to do to adjust to this, like a new normal that we have after going through the pandemic?
Yeah, the new normal. For the children in schools, for example, they found that the children were so eager, but then they didn't know how to talk to each other in the beginning because of the lack of practice. No? So emotional social skills were affected by the pandemic. And also how now to belong, how to feel that you belong. Because the pandemic sort of made the children feel that they did not really feel the sense of belonging. So hopefully the face-to-face can help the children feel that they belong, and I think that's starting to happen. But of course, there are still the bullying that people are talking about now. A lot of it is coming out, maybe the suppression of the pandemic, being not able to express so much, because there's a lot of reports of bullying now that it's face-to-face. And then, of course, any change, no, adjustment, even us, like, oh, I don't know anymore what to wear because I didn't have to wear, right? I didn't have to wear anything nice before, and then my hair, I mean, you know, how do I look now? And I feeling afraid, you know, it's awkward that maybe I feel like I've aged so much during the pandemic, you know, kind of thing. These are little things, but they make you anxious, especially the women, maybe also the men. I mean, how do I dress up now? I mean, I might be too dressed up, or maybe I'm not anymore used to really dressing up. Maybe I should not overdress. It's not easy to decide that, no? So those are things that we adjust to, may look kind of trivial, but they are some things that we need to do something about, no?
You mentioned earlier also, Ma'am, about how children are adjusting to reconnecting again, face-to-face. We know that technology has a lot of advantages, particularly during the pandemic. You know, they were able to go to school online. They were able to perhaps interact with friends online. But we do get a lot of questions from parents before, you know, about regulating and how do we regulate? Is it like how many hours are we supposed to allow our kids to use their gadget? And now na nasanay sila na 3 years in front of the gadget and its benefits, do you think that this is more of a challenge now that they're going back face to face?
Wow, that's really a good point. A very, very good point, actually. Not only the children, we became accustomed to them looking at their gadgets. So that habit of 3 years, wiring of the brain, is not easy to change. No? So I think that's very, very challenging, actually, for the parents in terms of like how many hours. Well, first of all, number one is, I think, to say it in a very plain statement, we still need to provide clear and consistent limits. Clear and consistent limits is one of the most basic psychological needs of every person, especially the young people or even the old ones, okay? To be able to have clear and consistent limits. So I think that's one thing we need to to look at, especially in terms of the gadget. Parents, how do you talk to each other? I mean, you agree, and maybe you, as a family, if you can talk about it together so that it is all out there and there is an agreement. No, let's say how many hours, they say it's 2 hours, but maybe it varies. Hopefully it's not 5 hours. Or the other thing is, I think one of the things we need to look at is us as parents. I think we're also kind of addicted. So how do we, model for our children that sense of being able to set limits? Because setting limits is essential for everything. Relationships, discipline, everything that we need to do in life, even close relationships, friendships, spouses, there got to be limits, no? But for the gadget, the limits have to be clear, agreed upon, okay? So that the child you don't set a limit, for example, that's a time when the child is really playing. It's a playtime. It's a time when they're together with their friends, and then you say, oh, that's the time you come home. So it's so important. Setting limits has to be realistic, but also that it's appropriate. Sometimes it's if you think about it, let's say the child is watching something so exciting. That's when you come here. Of course, that will cause so much conflict. Even you, if you're watching a very exciting K-drama, and then somebody tells you, come on, let's go out and do this thing, you're more likely to not do it. There's more likely there will be a conflict. No? So timing is important. Also, looking at what everybody is doing at that time. For example, the child is very tired, and then you insist on doing something. So it's really sensitivity and being able to tune into each of the members of the family, especially the children. So that's one. But I think you should agree, as a family, we can agree on what's the window when you can watch. And then if we are consistent and clear and authoritative. I'd like to talk about that authority, because now somehow there's a shift in power, because the children are more knowledgeable about the technology than we are. So somehow the knowledge they have gives them more power. I'm not saying that they should have no power, but what I'm saying is in any household, no matter how pleasant, permissive, pleasant everything is, the parents have to be the authority. There's got to be an authority that will be respected and followed. You can be very friendly with your children and very pleasant, and but authority, you must hold the authority. Don't hesitate to hold the authority, and that requires your own self-confidence, your own clarity, your own conviction that this is right. Because your conviction communicates to the child. If you are tentative, you don't have that decisiveness and that conviction, the child knows it. The child senses tentativeness like a dog smells fear. You may have a loud voice, but your loud voice may not be effective because your face and your body language is very hesitant, and they can sense the whole picture, not just your words. Remember, they're very, very good at sensing tentativeness. Some young people are smiling because it's true, right? So hold the authority. Don't think that is this day and age you don't have to be authoritative. You have to have the authority. Don't hesitate. That's number one. That's very, very important. How do you have the authority? You have to be clear. What is it that you do not really want? What is a no-no? What's a total no-no? Decide that first. Definitely, I'm sure this is not allowed. You cannot hurt your brothers or sisters. For one, that's one. So clear first about what are absolute no-nos. Then you go to the more flexible, you know, things that you need to talk about. So maybe we can have that questions later. I might talk for 2 hours here, so I better stop. Better regulate me.
Yes, I'm sure discipline can be like a whole talk in itself, and I think that's a lot of questions that come from our guests usually ask about discipline, specific, and that can be asked later. No? But to kind of summarize what you said, sabi mo, kailangan clear and consistent limits. No, that in itself can be challenging, and you have to also be in tune to what's happening. And timing matters, hindi pwedeng bigla-biglaan lang, ganun talaga magkaka-conflict. No? Something that you kind of touched on, though, is not just being in tune to what's happening at home, but also to oneself. No? So kung hindi klaro sa'yo, how will you be able to implement a certain rule at home? How can you hold that authority if you're not clear with certain rules? Right? No? So I think that has a lot to do with being mindful also, being in tune with oneself. No? Yes. This actually reminds me of a particular case that I'm handling at the moment. I think maybe this might be very relevant to that. Na, a mother with 4 kids, 3 are boys, and galing sa abuse, family na may abuse. The father was abusing both the mother and the boys. Na. The father, they're separated now, so a different house. But the mother is really struggling to maintain discipline and her authority in the household. And sabi niya, she hesitates when she's disciplining her kids, especially the boys, kasi natatakot siya na she might become like the abusive father. No? So it feels like it's coming from her own experience, and parang it highlights what you were saying. Like if you're not aware, if you're not in tune also with what's clear with you, or you're bringing your own experience, how can you be clear with your kids as well?
Yes.
So how do you become more aware and more mindful?
Okay. Yeah. You're touching on a very important topic, which is mindful parenting. No? In mindful parenting, we don't react, we respond. Because when we react, our emotion, anger, whatever, emotion, action. When we respond, emotion, pause, action. So the action is of better quality, and most of the time, you don't regret it. But when you're impulsive and reactive, I think every parent knows this, you regret it because you were too reactive. You didn't think of what you were saying. Okay, so first of all, in parenting, be aware of what you are feeling and thinking at the moment. For example, the child is crying. Your child is crying and really, disturbing. The first emotion you feel is maybe anger, and you want to, spank him and all that. But this mother, for example, I'm talking about, came from traffic and had some kind of conflict with her office mate. So with not knowing that, she goes in there and the child is crying and not really full-blown tantrum, okay? So immediately she goes there and shouts at him because that's normal, right? That's normal. You're a human being, that's normal. But what was happening there was she had all this anger inside her before she even entered the house. Because of all these things that happened to her, her anger was already there. And so when the stimulus, the shouting of the child happened, all the anger that she had there was poured into the child. So her response to the child shouting was exaggerated and disproportionate to the behavior of the child. Why? Because she was not aware that I am here, I am angry, and I want to slap him, I want to spank him, that kind of thing. Own your emotion first. This is me. I came from this very toxic office, traffic, and I'm holding all this. So sometimes I advise parents, especially mothers, if you come home carrying your bag, the first thing you do when you come home is put down your bag. Okay? It's a very small gesture, but it is very powerful because you are doing a shifting already by something physical. It's not easy, you know this, all parents know this. It's not easy to say, I'm not going to be angry, just by saying it. You have to help yourself by doing something physical and effective. So put your bag down, maybe go to the bathroom, wash your hands, change your clothes, wash your face, and then tell yourself, okay, now, office is there. My experience, I was angry, now I'm more calm, then I can face my children. It's very important, the shifting, the awareness that I have to shift, I have to own all the stress that has happened before I deal with my child. So that's very, very important because it's very common and human and just natural for us to just react. So when we're mindful, we don't react, we respond. Okay, I don't know if that answered. No.
I think so. So it's important to pause, just to simply pause. Like when you get home, put down your bag, go to the bathroom. This helps us reflect more, own our own issues.
And calm down your body.
So trying to find space for ourselves. Right? This reminds me also again of, kasi we also have this partnership with Angat Buhay. And so we have free consultation. They get to consult with some of the team members. And in particular, this mother that I talked to, na all day long kailangan niya magtrabaho, sila ng mag-asawa. It seems like there's no breathing space. And even if I share the things that I learned from you about pausing, it feels like it's not enough to feel like she has enough energy to face her kids and to face the day. Now, what can you suggest to people who feel like, because it sounds so easy na, okay, sige, schedule mo na may pause, ganun. Pero may mga mothers or parents who feel guilty about even pausing, diba?
Yes.
So what can you recommend or suggest to people who have a hard time just really finding that space para lang they can be more mindful? Kasi even that is challenging for them.
Right. Yeah, I'd like to address that because I think in our culture, especially when mothers need to rest, we feel guilty. Okay, so maybe it's a very important mindset that we have to have as a parent. That the first thing we need to do as a parent in order to be able to take care of our children is, of course, to take care of ourselves. Self-care is essential, but it is something that is not encouraged in our culture. We are taught to sacrifice, don't do this because, the child will be affected, etc. That's fine, but then it's not even easy to give permission for a parent to take the time because it's called selfish. Self-care in the Philippines is called selfish, but self-care is essential. It's a must. You have to change our mindset that self-care is our duty. It is our responsibility. So I always say, rest is a moral obligation. So we can make it a poster. Now, rest is a moral obligation. Why? Because if you don't rest, not only are you suffering from your irritability, etc., but if you don't rest, you're irritable, you're easy to anger, and therefore you make people around you miserable. It's not just you. If you don't rest and don't take care of yourself, you make people around you miserable. That's why it's your moral, social obligation to rest. So I think we have to first target that mindset. No, I'll give a story here, but hopefully it's okay. No, somebody's guarding the time, right? Okay. So I was talking to some mothers, Filipino mothers, and I asked them, what's your favorite part of the chicken? The leg. Okay, but what part of the chicken do you usually eat? The neck. Why is your favorite part of the chicken is the leg? Why are you eating the neck? Because the leg belongs to my husband. I'm reserving it for my husband. And the breasts for my children and all that. So I end up with the neck. It's very telling, right? So I said, when you go home tonight, or when you have chicken, you sit down on the dining table and say, tonight or today, Mama will have the leg of the chicken. Declare it, okay? Just say it simply, I will have the leg. They will start looking at you. Oh, she's having the leg. Okay, what's the impact of that? It has a very strong impact because the children, and even your husband, the family will now know, oh, Mom deserves the leg. She's having the leg. That's, they look at you and then you're imparting subliminally very important values, which is number one is respect. I deserve respect. I deserve the best. It's very opposite of what we've been indoctrinated with. No? So I will deserve the leg today. So they will say, Mom also deserves the leg. She's not going to just have the neck all the time. Parang they're awakened to the respect and the privilege that the mom in the family should have, right? So once, I don't know if you remember this, but maybe you were very young then, because he was born, I have two boys, 2 years apart, 56 and 54, and Chris was born about 10 years after. Okay, so anyway, so one time we were walking down the stairs and I said, kids, I'm not just a mother, I'm a person. Okay, I'm a person. A person gets tired. A person gets angry sometimes. Sometimes a person is sad. I'm a person. I'm not just a mother. So it's like, some kind of light bulb in their heads. Yeah, because Mama will take care of that. Mama will do it. Oh, it's okay. She'll take the worst part of the meat, whatever. But it's like awakening them to that role, to that respect that you as a mother and as a person have the right to feel certain feelings, have the right to get tired. And what that gives you is children who know how to respect elders, children who know how to wait, children who know how to give to you. I saw a mother who was my heart went out to her. She had a 13-year-old girl, and she said, I gave her everything. I gave up so much, and I did so much, gave my favorite hours and time, etc. to her and everything. And now look at her. She doesn't even respect me. And I said, yes, because you gave her everything, which was too much. And the girl told me, I wish my mom had told me that I was not doing right and told me that I was doing wrong. So children, that's 13, and there are 2.5-year-olds who ask for limits, who ask for discipline, who ask for a clear and consistent no from their parents. Because like in the Convention for UNICEF Children's Rights, I said, it's not just the need of children to be disciplined or to have consistent limits, it is their right. They ask for it. When children are not given consistent limits, they become insecure. We think that children who can get everything they want become secure, like powerful tyrant. That is not true. Inside them, there is an insecurity because limits, clear structure gives children and even adults a sense of security. I know that I'm doing what is right, and I know when I'm doing what is wrong. And therefore, I feel okay and confident that I know that my behavior is okay. So, see, I'm running. I can talk about this for hours.
I think they want you to.
Set limits for me.
I think they want you to, but I do have a question about it because something that I find striking is yung may counterculture in terms of way of you're suggesting like countering a particular culture that's pervasive. One has to do with limits. Na parang, I think pag sabihin nating limits kasi it's always seems like it's always related to discipline. You cannot do this. Mga bawal, diba? Like even guidance counselors in school are known na pinapadala yung students doon dahil may ginawang mali. So palaging it's a negative notion, limits and discipline. And then the other culture that you're suggesting we look into and maybe try to find a different way or balance is yung putting in a pedestal, yung giving everything, being selfless, and how to balance it with also giving yourself some value. Na it sounds like mas powerful pag minomodel ng parent. Hindi mo lang sinasabi na I deserve this respect. Pag galit ka na, sinisigaw mo na I deserve to be respected. Ganun. I'm your mother, I'm your father. But you also model it with the small things that you do. No? It's a dinner table. Ganun. So these are pervasive cultures, no? So, and beliefs regarding discipline and also being selfless. I think that helps. It helps for us to look into that and how we are all partly, affected by that belief as well. Yeah, we hold that also.
Yes, right. It's actually very deeply ingrained in the culture and very powerful inside us. No? So we have to now be aware that we have to make a mindset change, that to value, for children to value us, we have to value ourselves. We have to act like respectable, valuable people, who are kind but authoritative but kind. So Chris is being a very important point, which we all know, but maybe to emphasize, you don't just talk to them and tell them, but you live it, you act it, you model it. The most powerful way that children learn is through modeling, not through words or shouting. No. By the way, also shouting. I'd like to talk about shouting. Okay, shouting seems to give you power, right? Like that, no, may power. Or power to make them afraid to do something. Okay, that's not necessarily bad. But there's also a way of being very authoritative, effective, and firm without shouting. I remember when my kids were a bit older, one of them said, there are very clear rules about using the driver, whatever, and I think it was a Friday, or basta it was very clear that that's not the time they can use the car, or whatever. Mama, I use the car today, and it's very clear to them already that that's not allowed, okay? So I felt like, alam mo na naman hindi mo pwedeng gamitin, bakit ka pa nag-ask ng permission? That's the first thing in my mind. Parang, alam mo naman na bakit ganyan ka? So I paused and then I said, I won't mention the name to whoever. Gagalit sa akin yung anak ko, patay. Forever na yan. So, okay, come here, son. You sit here. Put your ear near my face. And then I said in a very whispering, I said, absolutely not. Very soft, very firm, and very authoritative, but no shouting. Okay, mom. Okay, mom. Okay. So is there ways that are more effective? Because it also doesn't feel good when after you're shouted, parang hindi masarap yung feeling, no? Parang, why did I allow myself to do that? But there are ways. Why is that so effective? Because number one, you have a very strong conviction and feeling absolute surely that it's not allowed. in order to set limits, one of the first C's of discipline is conviction. It's inner. Wala ka pang ginagawa. Nag-uumpisa ka nang mag-set limits by having conviction. I am so sure that what I'm telling her not to do is correct. Even just that feeling inside is already communicating. It will communicate very clearly. Aside from being clear, consistent, you also need to have conviction. So ask yourself, what is it that's absolute no-no, and what is it that is relative to the situation? And when you are clear and you have conviction, you don't have to shout. They will know for sure. Okay? Thank you.
So through conviction, you don't have to shout. So I think I asked you this when we were rehearsing this conversation.
We
Kasi
tried.
diba, merong, there's also a belief as a parent na parang, do you have to instill fear? Kasi you said earlier, you have to hold the authority, diba? Does that mean instilling fear? Kailangan bang umabot sa ganong punto bago mapasunod yung bata? Is that important?
Yeah, there's a very thin line here, no? Because I gave a talk called The Power of Compassionate Discipline. Meaning they will obey, they will follow the rules because they know why the rule is there, it's clear, and that you are also clear and authoritative about it. There is an absolute no-no. But meron ding certain fear, as kind of a slight fear maybe that is important. Parang yung takot sa Diyos. Di ba? Pag sinabi natin takot sa Diyos, it's not a fear na parang God will condemn you or something. But there is a certain slight amount or fear that's also there. But the fear is not debilitating. I mean, the fear is not causing them to feel bad about themselves. It's just maybe the fear of not respecting, the fear of not displeasing, or it's a slight fear, I think. Before I said just compassionate discipline. There's a power in compassionate discipline. Why? Because the child follows these instructions because they know why it is there. They understand, and therefore they know it's not supposed to be done, and you do it in a way that is not punishing or insulting. Also with respect, but with conviction and firmness. But thinking about it now in my old age, I mean, I think there might be some amount of fear there, a minimal tinge of fear that might be also important. Because when we say authority, somehow there is an insinuation of a nuance, subliminal type of nuance where there's a little fear there. So maybe I'd like to qualify that a bit.
Okay. Could it be also na yung fear is also more of like, oh, fear kasi if I do this wrong thing, baka alam ko na may consequence na masama. It's not gonna be good for me or others if I bully someone or hit someone. Parang may ganong klaseng fear in sa consequence that will happen in sa action.
Yeah. I thank you, yes. I think Chris is bringing a very important element in disciplining, which is consequence. If you do this, this will happen. Behavior naturally has its consequence, no good or bad. So when we don't give the consequence of the behavior, especially misbehavior or something that being done wrong, and we allow it, there's also going to be a really bad repercussion, because because in disciplining, one of the C's, maybe the fifth C, is consequence. I think this is so important in our country, nationally, because children, we as parents have to do it on our own, because in our country, wrongdoing is not punished. I have to say it even if I'll be trolled, it is true. That in our country, wrongdoing is not punished and sometimes even rewarded. So it's very important for us, again, to be strong as parents, family, protective family, helping the children's mental health, to be there to put in the consequence that is appropriate for the behavior. Don't follow the pervasive atmosphere of not punishing wrongdoing. This has been happening for a long time. In fact, about 8 years ago, the UNESCO gathered a group of social scientists for us to answer, Michael Tan, and for us to answer the question, where is the culture of impunity in the Philippines coming from? We have a culture of impunity. Impunity, of course, you know, means wrongdoing is not punished. So it's so important when you say consequence that as parents, let's not go into that pervasive atmosphere of wrongdoing not being punished. Let's counter it. Let's do what is right. That even they see, we all see wrongdoing, murder, whatever, everything, all the aspects of bad behavior is out there and not punished. Not punished. And sometimes rewarded or hidden, put somewhere else. And so there is no consequence for bad behavior in our midst. And we have to be the ones, as parents, to do it in our family. That's why we become protective for the mental health of our children as a family. We become strong. The other thing I'd like to say before I forget, although it's not even part of your question, is that parents also need support of other parents. So it's very important to have a caring community of parents, not just you and your spouse, but reach out to parents of your age or even not your age, have a group of parents to help you also to be supported in what you're doing, because what we are doing now is not what the culture is reinforcing. No? As Chris said, counterculture yung mga pinag-uusapan natin ngayon. So we need also the support, of course, our family members, extended family, but other parents. It's very important to have a community, a caring community, a group of parents, your friends, to help you also, to support you as you parent your children.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that's everything you're saying is very much in line with our advocacy sa MLAC, which is parenting is nation building. No? So discipline, learning it from home, and the way that the compassionate discipline, not harsh, but making the child feel safe by setting limits, that kind of discipline.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I'd like to advertise, what do you call that? Promote or express clearly our advocacy. Our flagship program is Parenting is Nation Building. Because you think about it now, how do we rebuild our nation, which is so, damaged, to put it that way, right? Damaged, so the right word? Yes, it is for me. Because of so many things happening and not many things that are supposed to be done are not done for us. And they say, it also said, when the systems in society don't work, we turn to our families. And when the systems don't work, because they don't work, a few work, but most of them don't work, and I have to say it, so we turn to the families. So that's why we believe that the first thing we need to do, I was in a conference of 17 countries 2 weeks ago, and it was about Child's Right Coalition Asia. They're asking all these things happening, and there were organizations. It was an organization, a meeting of organizations, very powerful, wonderful organizations on how to prevent bullying, how to fight corruption, and all that, all very macro organizations. And then I was asked, how do we start? I said, for me, and they asked me pala, if you were president of the Philippines, which will never happen, what is the first thing you will do amidst all this? All the organizations talked about the the prostitution, the online pornography. We have so many problems. Our children are under so much stress, under siege, under assault, not so much. We're number one in childhood online pornography. We have trafficking. I mean, it's all over. If you think about it, it's like debilitating. So if you were president of the Philippines, I said, oh my God, that's difficult. I can never be president. But if you ask me wish fulfillment of what I would like to do, I will start with the families. I will organize a very big structure that will take care of families. It might be like a micro thing, but it isn't. Because I believe that the family is still the most powerful social unit one can ever belong to. You may be able to change yourself because you have a family that's like this, like that. Pero tingnan nyo, all the leaders, all the people you know who are in authority, the leaders in our country, in whatever country, why are they that way? Why are they who they are? Dahil ganun sila pinalaki. It's always going back to that. Even if you're 75 years old, how you were raised is still there inside you. It's so powerful. I used to debunk this because it was Freud, blah, blah, all these psychoanalysts, etc. And I became behavioral and everything. I did all the schools of thought in psychology. There are hundreds of them. But now in my old age, and I have seen, and in 45 years of practice and talking to people and living my life, it's so still there. The impact of how you are raised in your family stays with you. Maybe there are many things that you change, but there is something there that's always an imprint somehow. And it's something I think that is so deeply important. And in the structures that we have that are so macro, which are good, necessary, important, but let us not lose the most important unit ever, which is the family. So if we strengthen that, if we know how to protect the children and make the family a protective factor, I think we're doing probably the most important thing we're doing for our country. Maybe in the future, some are not already correctable. I mean, some people are already like that. But, you know, accept them as like that. You don't have to be like them. But accept them and then do what you believe is right. And the family is where kindness, forgiveness, and things like that, those values are bred, no? And I'd like to say this. Wayne Dyer, one of the influential thinkers of our time, said that to be kind, no? In a family, almost every day there is something to forgive. Right? There's something to forgive. Okay, and in intimate relationships and families, when you have a choice whether to be right, except in disciplining, whether to be right or to be kind, always choose to be kind. In spouses, for example, you're fighting. Should I tell this story? My husband is here. I don't know if he remembers. We were in Paris, of course, a beautiful city of Paris, and we were fighting. Okay, the fighting was escalating, shouting na, because I would not give in because I know I'm right. Correct? So anyway, maybe he needs the time to say something. But anyway, so escalated, because we both think we're right? So why I'm fighting for the right? And then he paused. Next. He paused and he said, "Sandali lang. Wait. Let's just be kind." That's the neurologist speaking, not the psychologist. Okay, so if you have a choice whether to be right, always right, or to be kind, try to choose to be kind in intimate relationships, in families. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I don't miss that. Yeah, well, back time na.
I think that's a wonderful way to end before we ask questions, unless Dad has something to say about that. Okay. Wala. Okay. All right. It's your chance. Okay. Okay.
Chance to talk.
All right. Okay. So I think we really touched on a lot of things already, a lot of very important points, and I imagine a lot of you might have questions.
Okay. Yeah, Chris, thank you
Before
for
that, yes.
thank you for the interesting, enriching conversation that we had. But before we ask the audience to further questions, we would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge our sponsors for making this event possible also. So thank you very much to Unilab for being our partner through all the years. Thank you, Ms. Pot Inocentos, for your support. Thank you also to Globe Telecom, our communication partner, for making our live streaming happen. Through this Escuela Facebook group of over 75,000 members, we are accessed anywhere in the country and the globe. And speaking of our global partners, our advocacy partner, Catalyst 2030, especially Catalyst 2030 Asia and the Pacific, thank you for bringing this event to our international friends and supporters. Thank you very much to iFace Incorporated, makers of BYS Cosmetics, among others. They're always supporting us in our mental health advocacy, especially in fighting stigma against mental health and help seeking. Thank you, Ms. Bess Howe. And of course, to Grad Nourriture International, our huge thanks. They are the exclusive, if you see there, their advertisement, they're the exclusive distributors of Naturel, Paul's Milk, and Milk Lab. Mr. Jun De Asis, thank you very much. And of course, this beautiful venue and cozy auditorium at the Mind Museum, our heartfelt thank you for Ms. Maribel Garcia. And thank you also for Noemi for all the behind-the-scenes work. And last but not least, thank you to De La Salle Publishing House, which we're also hearing more about later. They are giving a special prize of 300 pesos for the book launch later. And our gratitude also to our supportive donors who are also thoroughly involved in our advocacy for parenting and nation building and beyond, such as bringing in mindfulness, play therapy, and expressive arts in communities across the country. And of course, to all of you, by attending this event, you are co-advocating mental health for all, bringing mental health and well-being support where it's most needed. And now, the most interesting part, and I think Tita Hani will be very happy if you ask your questions. So we have Hannah there, who will also, and of course the microphone, yeah, please, you can go to the microphone. And Mila.
Maybe we can,
Mila, also, okay.
we can say our names and then where you're from and then proceed with the questions.
Okay.
Microphone. Where's the microphone?
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm a mother of 2 grown children. Okay, you said a while ago about parents have to be the authority that needs to be respected, hold your authority, right? So I just want to ask, when my children were younger, yes, this is true in fact, but my children, specifically the one who's taking up law, she's 26, sometimes this
Good
doesn't
question.
apply anymore
Good question.
because she said, I'm above 18. I have my rights.
Children rights
She's
talaga.
fourth year na eh, taking the bar review, so I couldn't really battle with her. No?
Right.
So I'm a bit confused now because she's a grown up, and she said that you have to leave me alone.
Okay,
Because I'm in my 20s and I have my own mind.
Right.
So
Nice.
can you help me out there?
Very good question. What do we do with adult children who are doing well and have their own minds? Okay, I think the first thing we need to do here is keep the respect, both ways. Okay, if you've raised them well, and it seems like you have, and she's telling you, I know what I want, and I know myself, and I'm doing well, so leave me alone. Okay, I think that's a very important point here. Thank you very much. Because one of the most difficult tasks of parenting is letting go. Okay, so you're still the parent, but you parent differently as they go from stage to stage. And when they're adults, you parent them. You are now an adult-to-adult interaction. No? The interaction is adult to adult. But still, even they're 55, they can still come to you for certain questions about life, to ask your opinion, and still know what you think, but then they will also have their own opinion to do what they want, but they heard you. It's another opinion of an authority, and you've raised them well, so you trust them. One of the most difficult things I've noticed with parents is to let go. Let go and just let them decide. Okay, sometimes you have to close your eyes because they're doing something you don't agree with. But as long as you also still have authority, because if you see that they are quite negligent about certain things and all that, and sometimes they're very busy, and they also cannot parent, and sometimes it's the grandparent who can help with that, no? Or with their older children, you transact to them adult to adult. There is this transactional analysis. Is it transactional analysis? It is, no? Okay, I'm checking with my former students. TA, no? We interact in three ways. Parent to child. You're a parent to your child. Child to parent. Child to child. And then, parent to child, child to parent, and adult to adult. So the transaction now will change, because you're not, don't anymore tell them, do this, do that, but listen to them. No matter how old you are, even if you're 78 years old, you still want and need to be listened to. So I think one of the most important things you do with the adult children, that your adult daughter, is to listen to her, and for her also to listen to you. So you talk to each other and listen to each other, and she gets your opinion, but she will decide what to do. Unless you see something like a danger that she doesn't see, or societal force that they don't see but you're aware of because you're more experienced, I think it's important also for you to share your experience. You don't lose your authority. You just treat them as adults, and the way they treat you as adult to adult, is a very good relationship you have when they're older. But the respect is still there. Your authority as parent is still there for certain things in the family that has to be done, certain things that have to be done within the family. But you don't act authoritarian. You don't act like you're a kid and still follow. You know, you change your way of transacting. Treat them as adults, and they'll treat you as adults. So the respect is still there. But thank you for bringing that up, because the authority, the respect, the manner of communication and transacting has to change. And I think we also need, as parents, to really practice letting go. Our children, for example, especially if you're a grandparent, and you see your children doing something you think they should not do, you have to think twice, because maybe that was what it was done when you were parenting, and now maybe it's not anymore appropriate, or it's more appropriate now than it was before. So you have to be aware also of the context, no? But you're still a parent. Even if my oldest son is 56, he still considers me as his parent. There is the respect. And asking permission if I can use your house because that's your house. Things like that. No, still the common courtesy and respect must be there. I hope I answered your question. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Very important.
Okay, one more question.
Okay. Hello. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Congratulations, Honey, Chris, Doc, and the MLAC family. Itong yan naman, no, SRO on a very rainy day.
Thank you.
It is so heartwarming because the context of my question, it's so heartwarming because I still remember Chris as a baby in the Department of Psych.
Yeah.
And now, Honey, I have my own apo. All right. And my passion and my question, and the reason why I'm still in the Philippines, in spite of it being crazy, is I love the Philippines. This is home. I just came back from Canada, 6 weeks, and they were telling me, come na, come na. Our friends in Canada, sila Joma. Lipat ka na, Mila. No, Philippines is home. And so my question right now, when you talk about children, we talk about different stages. Siguro my concern now, because of my work as an organization development and well-being consultant, is I'm so concerned about those in transition, the next leaders of the country, the next workers. So I'm thinking of adolescents, young adults, thinking of their careers and their families. I'm 67 already, and I have a 1-year-old apo. So my concern, Honey, first of all, I'm so glad that you talked about impunity, you talked about lack of leadership. We have an upcoming election, the barangay election. And in Canada, I was not listening to the news in the Philippines. But now I cannot help it. I have to listen. So I guess my question is, kasi talaga ang connect ko sa'yo is nation building. Sana in another or a parallel universe, maging presidente ka. Okay. Mangangampanya ako talaga pag nag-run ka for president. And I agree with you, the family is the unit of society. Anong pwede kong gawin at my age? Anong pwede kong gawin bilang professional? Anong pwede kong gawin bilang ina, bilang lola, bilang member of the community to help in this political exercise? I'm working quite closely with Chief Justice Mayliu Sereno, former. I'm sure you have worked with her. Kasi ang binibigyan niya ng pag-asa yung ating mga kabataan. They want to be good. They want to do right. They want to help in a clean election. What can we do? Any words of hope from you? Nag-notes ako, Viber notes. I don't usually do that. But this morning, nagva-Viber notes ako. Marami pong salamat, Doc. Okay.
Naku, thank you, Mila. Always asking a very wonderful and difficult question. Yeah. First of all, Mila Milagrosa, that's her real name because she's miraculous. First of all, I think if you continue what you're doing, can you tell us a little bit? Because if you're already doing a lot of organizational stuff, you're also doing family, you're also your own family. What you're asking is what else can you do? I think, for example, this whole group, for me, we're still in the advocacy stage. Parang still awareness of our own need to be involved, our own ability to hope, to dream, and the ability to transcend. Remember, transcendence is one of the basic psychological needs and ability in my book. So I think what you're doing, can you just spread it more? And I think we still all need to advocate. People are doing a lot of things already, but the advocacy, the social media, using what's effective. maybe we could use your organization and we us too, can use the social media more, because what has shaped all these things that we are fighting against? It's social media, very powerful. When we can go into that powerful way also and counter and advocate, as you said, the young people want to do what is right, and the young people have hope and their ability to transcend. Even children have the ability to transcend. So I think if we can, wow, all of us just advocate, use social media, and friends come together, and just do what we can within our sphere of influence, that would be a lot already, but everybody does what they can do in the sphere of influence that they have, no? And yun na nga, the hope, the ability to transcend. Let's bring forth that ability to transcend, to see beyond what's happening, to know that this too shall pass, to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's our birthright. It's given to us. Children as young as 4 know how to transcend. They tell you, and children who are abused can even tell me, when this is over, I'm going to be a lawyer, magiging lawyer ako, so I can help children in my situation. So let's also learn and get that hope from the children. If you talk to them, they have that, the younger children, the older children, a little bit more, needing more encouragement because they know more about the macro situation that you're talking about. No? So even if the Philippines is as it is, it's still our home, as you said, and we still know that we belong. And one of the most important things in a crisis is to come together like this, to talk together, to have conversations about what the country needs, to listen and have a caring community, even just one caring community. As June Singer, the Jungian analyst, said, we build a circle, one circle of kindness and compassion, another circle, and pretty soon we will have 1 million circles of compassion, kindness, and empowerment. I hope. Thank you.
Good morning po. I'm Pastor Nanding Satore of Mandaluyong Anti-Drug Abuse Council.
Yes.
Narinig ko rin po kanina you have an advocacy on EJK and we also have this advocacy as a group of pastors in Mandaluyong, and being the division chief of education and prevention of anti-illegal drugs.
Wow, okay.
What do you think, in your experience, are the 3 major reasons why people uses drugs?
Wow, okay. I will try. Okay. One is the proliferation of drugs, that easy access to drugs. That's the external factor, no? And the protection that they get also from, and the encouragement they get from the higher, the users are the ones that are suffering, the young users, the people who are given the opportunity to use it. For example, you have street children who use drugs because when they inhale solvent ba yun, whatever it is they inhale, they forget their hunger. That's what they say. No? So may mga ganong property of the drugs. So the other thing is, again, your organization. Can you, I think you can also use social media. Kailangan social media, talagang kailangan for your organization, because it's very, very important because you're doing it in the community. Grassroots, no? Kailangan din mag-grassroots tayo. Kasi the children and the young people, and even not so young, who are using drugs, are lured. I mean, it's like they are really attracted by these people who sell the drugs for profit. The bottom line is money here, always. So I think it's very important that you continue to advocate. And again, families, back to families. Yeah, if we have a strong families value, and togetherness, I think we can also do the first step when we notice something already that's happening. Maybe go to you, Pastor, and go to people who can help us. Don't be afraid to ask for help, especially when situations like this, because drugs are very, very powerful and very addicting, and so it has power over our young children. And of course, never mind the stories of EJ case, which we've been involved in. But that I think the family is still very important. The community, the LGUs that you're working with, your organizations like yours, I think those are the important ones. Did I answer the question? Maybe not.
I think so. But
did I answer your question? Sorry.
Yes.
I understand that my question is so broad, but I believe what you have said in the last point is about the family. We also encountered those things in the community wherein we educated almost 12,000 students in our in our city.
Good.
And that the common basic cause of drug addiction or being a person who uses drugs is family problem.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning. I'm Christine Juan. I'm a mother of 3,
yes.
but I also have a preschool.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm teacher Christine, and I have been your follower, disciple ever since. Even during the pandemic, when you had your talk on Zoom, I was also there.
Thank you.
So anyway, we were
Yes.
talking about social media. I noticed that MLAC's IG is only 165 followers. And you are one of the, it's the best person to advocate parenting because you're the rock star of parenting. Yes. So, so I would, it's not a question. So I would propose to your group, to your MLAC family, to make you more like an influencer to the parents, because maybe you need in your group like somebody young who can handle your social media very well and reach out to these young parents who are always on TikTok. Yes, they're on TikTok, browsing, well, in my opinion, not so important stuff when there are more important things to listen to watch, to share.
Wow.
So you are in the best, you're the best influencer parents can have in these times.
Thank you, Christine. Can we talk to you? Can we coordinate with you?
Yes,
because you're putting a very important point, I think, that we might be missing. Yes.
Because that's also one of my advocacy as a preschool owner.
Yes.
So I have parents, right, in my preschool. So that's one.
Yes.
Aside from educating young learners 2 to 5, it's also my role to educate the parents as well.
Right.
So you are my idol in terms of that. So I hope you can reach more. Yes, because this the only way to reach is
social media. TikTok.
Social media, because doing road shows like this, it entails so much effort, so much money, right? So, and social media is just there.
Right. Yeah. Can you contact us after this?
Yes,
please. Thank you so
Congratulations
much.
to you and to MLAC.
Thank you so much.
Please help us
Thank
reach
you.
more followers.
Yes.
We're doing our best. Thank you so much.
That's a very good idea, Christine. Yeah.
We're actually encouraging my mom to get into TikTok.
It's okay, I don't mind. When I turn 80, which is this year, I will go TikTok when I turn 80. Okay. So nobody can criticize me. It's old age. Or,
Hello.
yes.
My name is Ayon Ruiz. I came here as a volunteer with Marty.
Oh, okay.
And one thing that really stood out to me was when you said the impact of how we're raised stays with you. Like it's an imprint. And my question is, what happens if a person grows up experiencing lots of abuse and traumatic stuff like that? And what if this person wants to change? But with all that in mind, how can we break generational trauma, especially going into parenting?
Wow, beautiful question. Yeah. Okay. Yes. That's very important because if you were raised in a family where there's multiple repeated trauma, how do you become okay? Right? How do you become okay? I have to say that repeated trauma, traumatization, and intergenerational trauma, as you mentioned, is a very strong, potent factor in our lives. And it's just now that you are hearing about it, but this is something that's been going on, and thank you for bringing it up, because I believe that there are certain events, situations, experiences in families that families themselves cannot take care of. These are really the trauma, the extreme experiences that need help, maybe need professional help, or need help from people who are working in this area. But most important of all is how they will be able to ask for help, and also that to know that asking for help is a sign of courage and being smart. Because I think the problem there is very few people are brave enough to ask for help. But trauma is something that you did not do to yourself. And I always say that trauma is a normal reaction to an abnormal situation. But trauma leaves a very strong, there's certain, this is a whole book, but there are certain elements of trauma that stay with us, and what most important of all, trauma is stored in our bodies. So you may have trauma from 4 years old, 5 years old. You grow up to be an achiever. You get honors in your, you suppress it, repress it, but it's still there. The body stores it. So it is triggered. So in many cases, it's triggered when there is some kind of possible intimate relationship, when there is a certain another trauma. That one trauma here automatically brings the trauma to the, so it's a double trauma. If you are re-traumatized, it's not just the trauma there that you're suffering, but the trauma before is hinihila kumbaga ng habagat, hinihila siya ng trauma of the present. So I think we should, I don't know how we can do it, we could need more to know more about trauma. But that's a whole, I don't think we have time to do it now, but I can do it at the top of my head, but there's no time. So we can maybe, we have a book called Presence ba yun? Presence. One of our books is called Presence. It talks about healing of trauma and taking care of people who are helping people heal from trauma. So both the survivors of trauma and the people helping them to recover from trauma. I think it will be very useful. Which we don't have it here right now, but maybe we will have it during our anniversary. Yeah, plug. Galing. So, plug.
So when is our anniversary,
there
Tita
it is. Anniversary is November 18.
November 18.
Yeah, it is our 13th anniversary, and it's a joint celebration because I'm celebrating my 80th birthday.
On November 18.
So,
come.
come. We will send you through our Facebook. So we can bring the books there, or you can order the books online. Online. And so you can start looking at it, because your question is very important. Intergenerational trauma can be repeated from generation to generation and so on and so forth, unless something is done about it, like you call attention to it, and the person in this generation gets help so that it doesn't pass on to the next generation. And very important, because a lot of times people don't know that their behavior and even their diagnosis of disorders are due to a lot of trauma. I think it's something that has to be really understood and discussed, and how to recover from it. Because if there is trauma, there is recovery, which is very important. No? So bringing up that important point, maybe you could start with that book and many more. There are a lot of videos on trauma, but don't. You have to be a little bit more discerning in terms of what you will believe, no? Because you know, there are so many. The video university. I mean, what do you call it? YouTube University is very strong, very powerful, but be a bit discerning also. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for asking that.
Okay. So you're saying, Tita Han, trauma has to be processed.
Yes, it's
okay. For you to heal.
For you to heal.
Okay. So, yeah, okay. So we have actually people lining up for questions, so that you can take turns. Okay.
Hello, I'm Lani. I'm a newborn, a mother to a kaka-birthday lang nila kahapon, si Kalatea.
Oh, wow.
So, my son, my husband and my daughter is in the room.
This is what I hear. Okay.
Anyway, my question is, how to build my confidence as a new mother or parent when there are very many voices, like the side of my husband na siya mang anak, and then she said, I should listen to me, I'm the expert, anay ng anak ko, or yung side niya ng mga nurse. So, paano ko assert yung, or yung mga ganun, paano ko assert yung voice ko?
Right.
Or andito kasi sila yung mas expert, as if I'm not the mother. Is there a law that protects that I'm the mother? sorry. Aside from the law, my question is, I'm also recovering kasi from my very traumatic birth experience. So, sabay-sabay na.
Right.
So, how do I, and also to protect my own family kasi,
right.
Ang understanding ko, when you're closer to your daughter or to your child, even the husband, mas ma-empower yung parental brain. But I cannot explain it to them kasi nga they are nurses, so how do I sound na assertive, but not offensive?
Yes.
Both to my sides of the family.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, very, very good question. Okay, how do I empower myself as mother with all these voices, telling me what to do, telling me that they're experts and you're just a new mother? I think, first of all, look inside you. What are the qualities inside you that you value and you know you have? Make an exercise like that, no? Okay. And then know how to affirm these values. There are exercises, maybe just small mindfulness exercises you can do maybe in the morning and the evening, where you are able to look within and value and honor your own feelings, your own and also, of course, learn from others, but make sure they don't overpower you. It's very when you're overwhelmed, you cannot function. So build that solid core. Find it. Find that solid core inside you. It's there somewhere. But sometimes it's covered by all kinds of advice and all kinds of criticisms. Go there. Build that core inside you. What are the core values that you have? Okay, strengthen them. You don't just not think. Write them down. Make them strong. Validate, etc. And if you have a good mentor, it's also important sometimes to have a mentor if you're a new mother, a mentor whom you can trust, a mentor you look up to, and that will help you. And then if you have also a group of new mothers, you can also share. But most important, your question is more pointed towards how do I build my own core as a mother and have confidence that I am the mother. Of course, you know your baby more than anybody in the whole world. And so if you look at all those qualities, consciously, deliberately, dig deep and affirm, confirm, and get maybe a mentor who will guide you in this, and read our book on parenting. We have 2 books here. Yeah, and really very important. With overwhelming things, you might get confused and you might get disempowered. That's important to claim your power, your own inner power, and honor it. Honor yourself. You deserve that.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi po.
Hi.
Good morning. I'm Anika. I'm a youth volunteer from NYVC, National Youth Volunteer Coalition, and partner with Lingap Angat. So I know that there's a lot of parents here and there are also youths like me. And you can treat my question as a personal question.
Okay.
I just want to ask, what's your favorite or best advice to keep an open communication or bond between parents and children? Because I myself, I consider that I have a very happy and open communication with my mom. It's because she has this simple act of making me coffee every afternoon, joining my study time and asking me how's my day, and that simple act opened I was able to open myself to have an open communication with my mom. So that's what I also want to ask from you po.
Yes, thank you. First of all, here is where we have a positive intergenerational pattern. No? Most of the time, I ask people to be pattern breakers, but you are a pattern continuer, whatever you call it, pattern builder. In other words, what your mom did to you seems to be very effective. So there's a pattern that can be repeated, because many patterns we have to break, but the pattern that has to be repeated. And again, the most important behavior or action or act that you do to your children is to listen. Listen to them. I have to say this again because I cannot help saying it always. Listening is one of the most powerful things you can do to affirm the person's worth. Okay, when you listen to a person with all your heart and soul, not like, tell me more. Tell me more. No, with your whole body, mind, and soul, you're doing something very, very powerful subliminally to that person. You're giving a very strong message to that person that you matter. And in the book we have here, by the way, my co-authors are here, Bless and Tess, the 7 basic psychological needs. One of the first is what we call I matter. Every person in this world, no matter what age, stage, social status, etc., every single human being must know that I matter. So that listening to them will give them that subliminal message, which is very, very powerful. You are important, worth listening to. So that's one of the things I can say. And continue and not break the pattern.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Ina.
Yes. Hi. Good morning, Dr. Honey.
Good
I'm
morning.
Ina. I work in the diplomatic community. Dr. Honey, I've been a professional and personal fan of you and MLAC, Chris, ate. I think it was your advocacy, parenting as nation building is very powerful, especially with all these mega structures that are a threat to the family. I wonder if there's a way for us to make it more pronounced in institutional changes. What are the kinds of legislation or institution we should be building to ensure that even within the family, the lessons we learn, the values we keep our country feels like a parentless child with inconsistent values and lack of consequence. So I wonder if there's a way for us to institutionalize these valuable lessons that you're teaching.
Wow, I hope so. Yeah, one of the ways is with your institution. I think you're doing some British Embassy. You're doing a lot already. So if anybody here, maybe we'll start here. Institutions usually go for what is the rules, the macro, the laws, etc., that are implemented, not implemented. But I think institutions, organizations, big organizations must also listen to the family, or pay attention to families, because big organizations have the mechanics, no? The ability, the structure. So if we can advocate for big organizations to prioritize and to give importance, attention, and value, give the message to the whole organization that this is important and very necessary at this point, and good for the organization too, because then if the families of the organizations are helped, it becomes a better organization. So thanks for your question, and maybe you can advocate for us. Thank you, Ina.
Good afternoon po. I'm Luis Cayetano po from NYBC. May dalawa po akong tanong.
Okay.
First po is favoritism. Parang kahit sabihin naman po ng parents na wala silang favorite, minsan yung mga bata, nararamdaman nila na may favorite yung parents nila, di ba? Sabi nyo nga po kanina, nafe-feel ng mga bata pag walang conviction yung parents nila. So, minsan yung mga bata, nafe-feel din nila na may pinapaboran yung parents nila. So, paano po kaya maiiwasan yun? Yung mapadaba sa bata na may favoritism? Or paano po dapat i-communicate? Tapos, wait, kinakabahan ako. Sorry.
Okay. Di ba, maganda naman yung question mo.
Pangalawang question ko naman po is, since about family po to, pansin ko po na yung topic is parang mother-father set-up magkasama. Pero kasi sa Philippines, hindi naman lahat ng family ganun. For example, maraming OFW, yung parents nasa ibang bansa, kinakabahan talaga ako, sorry.
It's okay. Okay lang kabahan. Okay
diba?
lang.
Tapos naiiwan sila sa lola nila, which is mas maluwag kumpara sa mga parents nila. Or for example, may family na hiwalay.
Yes.
So paano nyo po ma-hold yung authority or authority kung hindi kayo physically present or iba yung setup ng family?
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Beautiful question. Favoritism yung una. Remind me. Okay, let's tackle the first one. The first one first, favoritism. This is very important. If I ask you as a parent, do you like your children the same way, all of them? If you answer me yes, it's either you are lying or you do not know them as unique individuals. You think they should be the same. Why are you not like your ate? Why are you not like your sister? Etc. So I think the first thing we have to look at is as a parent. As a parent, it's normal for us, if we have more than one child, it's normal for us to feel a certain positive sympathia, we call it, for a child more than the other. That is normal. Why? Because we are human beings and the child has certain characteristics that make us like them and certain characteristics that make us not like them. So first of all, the most important first step in favoritism is to accept that there is such a thing. Okay? There is such a thing. There is such a feeling that you are feeling differently with this child. For example, yung isang anak mo, pagdating mo, oh, mami, ganyan. Yung isa naman, nakaganon lang. Natural, kung hindi ka mindful, you will just pay attention to the one who treats you nicely and ignore the other one. I have cases like this. And ignore the other one because normal, natural, you're acting in a natural way, but not in a mindful way. Okay? So, accept that first. As a human being, parent, you will be more positively feeling that you like one child more than the other, and that's normal. What do you do about it then? Okay. By accepting that, you are now ready to do something about it. So, for example, this case, no, dalawa yung bata. So the younger one was more gregarious. Pagdating ng mom niya, hi, ganon. Mom, how are you? The other one wanted to do it, but he's shy, and so he just sits there wanting, but he couldn't. Anyway, this is a true story. So the mother said, oh, you know, this one is not greeting me, ganyan, ganyan, and all that. So I said, okay. I think, because I know the child, I think he wants to greet you, but he doesn't have that gregarious ability to do it, while the other one, natural sa kanya. Little things you can do. First, accept it. You are more prone to react positively towards this one because you're a human being. So what do I do? What I told her was, okay, when you come home, and then, of course, the one greets you, say hi, and then you also greet. Ikaw na mag-greet, say, Tom and Bill. Okay. Tom comes to you, Mom, hi, Tom. Hi, Bill. Simple. Bill knows now that you see him. It's not, you don't just see Tom, you see Bill. And even just doing that exercise of, hi, Bill, you don't even say, how are you in the beginning. You just say, hi, Bill. Oy, na-notice ako ng mama ko. Oy, okay pala ako, hindi pala ako invisible. Because they tell me, I'm invisible. My mom notices the other, or maybe 3 of the children, or 2, and yung iba invisible. And that's human. So accept it, and then do little things, mindful parenting. You do little things that make the person know he's not invisible. I see you. Oh, ikaw, ano, kamusta? Or you don't even have to do that, kamusta. You have to just start saying, oh, hi Tom, hi Billy, ganun lang. Ang laki ng effect dun sa bata. Nakikita pala ako, hindi pala ako invisible, my mom sees me. Remember, we all need to be seen, to be heard, to be touched. No? So, my mom knows that I exist. I matter. And not just the other one. That's the one. Marami pa kasi. Where am I?
Second question has to do with yung iba-ibang klaseng pamilya, no? Meron
Yeah.
OFW, iba-ibang setup. How to retain authority?
Yeah.
Hold the authority.
Yeah. Last, when was that? We had a parenting seminar. Oh, isn't that book advertisement na naman? It's one of those books where parenting different kinds of families. We had a single mom. We had a family with 2 mothers. We had a family, ano ba yun, Chris? Fathers. Father, single father, ganyan. So, yeah, you're right. We have to say more because we don't assume that the family has mother, father, son, brother, sister. No. Kasi actually, in one study in a school, 45% of the parents were separated. It's big actually. It's a very big thing, but it doesn't mean a tragedy. Or we have single moms who are very, very competent and loving and able to help to be good mothers to their children. We have many single moms that can do that. Single fathers, I have not met a few pa lang, maybe. I don't know, maybe I know a single father who's doing very well with his grown-up children, taking care of them. Okay, so first accepting that hindi na ngayon pag sinabing family, hindi na ganon. Okay? Inclusivity. Be inclusive. When you say family, who are the members? Because it's very important to bring that into awareness. That's what you're doing, bringing it into awareness. When you talk of family, we must include different kinds of blended families. Maraming kinds of families. How do you then, as the mother, is that the question? The mother?
As a parent, I think.
As a parent, how do you maintain your authority? Again, as we said, with all these things happening around us, I think as a single mom, well, for one thing, wala kang kakontra. I think it's true. In a way, it's difficult because you have to deal with you've become both parents, but in a way there's an advantage to it because you are the authority. Your spouse will not be contradicting you or may not do anything contrary to what you think is right. I mean, I'm just stating that because it's true. So again, how do you build your own sense of core values inside you and affirm it? Maybe you need to affirm it, but maybe you need like people, mentor again, friend, whoever, who affirms your own set of values. And then get the resources. Look for resources around you. There will be resources around you. Maybe you have a sister. You're a single mom. You have a sister. You have a tita. You have a ninang, ninong, whoever, whom you know supports you, believes in you, agrees with you, and helps to make your case stronger, and supports you in your single parenting. I think that's one of the most important things we need to do. Look for people who will affirm and support us. Don't be thinking that I'm the only one doing this because you're going to burn out. So know that there are people. There will be resources if you look around you, and be proactive. And know, for example, you don't have to say, be my support, but you already know that this uncle is very supportive. Reach out. You know, uncle, ganito, ganon. Just do conversations, and then you will find that you will have your own network, your own support as a single mother. But of course, always take care of yourself. Much, much more important because you are doing the parenting alone, so you need to be okay. Just know that you need to be okay. And what will make you okay? Do the things you like. Have breaks. Have time for yourself. Have time to find the joy that what's joyful for you. Don't be afraid to do that. It's a must. It's not a luxury. It's a must to find something joyful, because when you're joyful, you exude it. You know, there are millions of books. I want to say this: there are millions of books on parenting, and if you want to summarize it in 2 sentences, oversimplify but really important. Children must know 2 things. 1, my parents are okay, and 2, I matter to them. Those 2 things are very, very basic. When children see that their parents are not okay, they make salo and they do all kinds of things to get attention, to try to make it right, and to carry the burden of making the family happy, doing things. It's almost like a natural thing for children to make salo when parents are not okay. Should I say a story? But ang haba na. No more na lang.
Well,
Go ahead.
Actually, we're running out of time.
Yes, moderator.
But maybe what we can do for this episode, Q&A episode, we're running out of time. But since they've lined up, we're just going to finish
I'll try to do it.
the ones who've lined up. Okay.
I'll try to be short.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I'm a college student. I'm also an intern at the Love Institute, so I went with all of them. I wanted to ask, how can we get the extended family in the game of parenting? Because as you mentioned earlier, they can be a powerful supportive force for the parent, but they can also contradict the values that you're trying to teach to your kid.
That's right.
All the way from body image or relationship insecurities, like when they say, ang taba mo na. All the way up to wanting your child to have business and political ambition, especially when 2 families marry each other.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, how can you get the extended family to produce a sort of united front and caring not just for their own kids, but also for the community's kids and society's kids as a whole?
Wow, big tall order. Okay. Yeah, I think this extended families are there. Okay, some of them are involved. Some of them are too proactive to tell you what to do when you don't want them to tell you what to do. And there are some that are supportive. What I'm thinking is just know who the extended family, who are they? Specifically, who are they? And without being obvious about it, you discern who among them you will consider to be support system, and who among them will be the ones putting you down maybe, and you know what you're saying, ang taba mo ngayon, mga ganyan. I think one is be clear that there are people like that, and then discern and be proactive in approaching the people that are supportive versus the people that are insulting or putting down. You have to make that effort.
Okay.
Because they are there. You don't have to get all of them and please all of them. Just be respectful, but you don't have to please all of them. You choose. I think you will know who resonate and who can support you, and you will know who can put you down. So if put down, you may, if possible, try to lessen your involvement with those that put you down. Put down is a very poisonous thing that people do to others. So try to do that. Don't be afraid to be choosy.
May I ask if there's a way to change that culture within the family?
Well, maybe this is just start. This is a start. But if you cling and stay very firm with your own values and get the support of some of them, that's the first step. That's the first step. The others will see your relationship with the others, and they will probably wonder and think and know why. Okay, that's a difficult question, but you can start.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tara.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Dr. Carandang. I'm Annie from Lingap Angat Community Learning Hub from Mandaluyong. Hello, my fellow volunteer there.
Yeah.
My question is, ideally in a family, it's the parents who are initiating the healing. Mm-hmm. But what if it is the parents who are distressing you?
Yes.
They are causing you distress. And
yes.
For adult children, is it worth it to initiate after repeatedly failed attempts to build that relationship, or is there is it worth your mental health, your own mental health, to sacrifice your own mental health to try to rebuild that relationship, or do you think it's better to just go no contact and prioritize your own mental health?
Wow, beautiful. Yeah. Yes. If you're, okay, your parents are the toxic ones, right? That happens. That happens.
I did not say that.
I'm saying it.
General.
I'm saying it for you. Okay. Okay, it's possible that your parents are your stressors. Just put
it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible that your parents are your stressors, and it's not just possible, it happens. Okay, so how do you, your question is how do you put effort in making them less stressful or not as toxic or whatever? Yeah, well, let's use that word. Okay, so what is the better thing to do? Okay, I think first and foremost, you take care of yourself. Don't have a vision or a mission of correcting them as the first step. It's not going to work. You're going to burn out. They're going to be more toxic than they are. So don't feel guilty that you are taking care of yourself first. That is your obligation. It's not your obligation to take care of them so they don't become too, harmful to you. But first step is take care of yourself first. Because if you don't, you will not have the energy to do the correcting or the effort that you want to do. That's going to fail. Because you will burn out and you will not be successful, but you will also be eroded. So strengthen yourself, take care of yourself in all possible ways. And if there are occasions when you can give suggestions, do it, but don't force it because it may not be possible. Maybe they're already very strong in their ways. So it's also not your responsibility as a child to do it. But if you can do it because you've strengthened yourself already and you're very solid, maybe you can once in a while touch that say something. Okay, but don't start with that. That's not going to work, and you will be eroded.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So our last question.
Hi,
The
Doc.
moderator.
I'm Angela po. I'm actually a student of Doc Olive. Hello po.
Oh, there she is.
So my question is kind of related to the previous one. Just
Okay.
that you mentioned a while ago, and I think Miss Christine mentioned that social media is an important part in spreading awareness. In the midst of the pandemic, I actually started my TikTok account, and I have this segment called "Tell Me Something You Wanna Get Off Your Chest." So just random people come to me and just speak out what they want to say, or
Okay.
it could be positive or negative, like if they
Expressing.
don't have, yes po, anyone to tell them their good news, ganun po.
Mm-hmm.
And so some people, they come to me and tell me na ganito yung parents ko, ganyan yung parents ko, and sometimes I don't know what to say. Like, kasi I can't just tell them to stay away from their parents. They live in the same house.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't have enough money, or their students pa don't have work. So I guess my question is that what would be the best thing to say to them when those things come up?
Yeah. It's difficult because how do you tell them something that feedback to them that you want them to know that maybe you don't want them to keep doing, but you have to do it with respect.
Yes.
How do you do it without them feeling that you are disrespecting them?
Yes.
Right? Because the most immediate response of parents when you tell them what they're doing wrong or what they're not, you don't want them to do, is that you're disrespecting them, right? So that's the first thing that comes to their mind. So some people I know have tried to write instead of talking directly, because sometimes when you talk directly, the tone of voice triggers the parents, all the issues they have against whatever, the world and you. So for some it has worked that they write a letter to the parent. Yes, to them, to the parent. But first, if it's very, very explosive, what you want to tell them, you go to the technique called the unsent letter. You write a letter to them, but you know you're gonna not gonna give it yet. Then you look at it again and see what make it more acceptable, less explosive, and all. I think that's one of the things that can be done. Another thing is if you have resources in your family, you have an auntie or somebody who's close to them, you can trust. That's a resource. It's a very important resource. You can talk to that auntie of yours or that tita, that lola, or whoever who can help you. First of all, help you to know that you are understood and listened to. That's number one, and then maybe help you to communicate the message that will be explosive if you're the one communicating, or that will be taken as disrespectful if you're the one communicating. But if you use your resources, it could be more effective. I think that's one way. You could look at the resources, the person you can trust.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know I mentioned last question, but there's one insistent person.
It's not a question, I promise. Hi, good morning, good afternoon.
Hello.
What time is it? Yeah, good morning to everyone. It's so nice to have this compilation of like-minded people who's passionate about the family, either personally or professionally. Personally, that's my goal as well. And just to propose, the question of our friend from the diplomatic community, any legislation we can do. Yes. And I've been talking about it. I'm Isa, by the way, from the Love Institute, also from CEFAM Alumni Association.
You're Isa, yes.
Hi.
Hi. Okay.
Is to have because we do a lot of licensing. We do doctor's license, we do marriage license, we do driver's license, because we need people who know how to do their job, or else people will get into trouble. Right. And now that our children, our society, we see the problems of wrong parenting all over the place. I have a friend of my daughter took her life 2 weeks ago, jumped off the building. So guilty because we're in this position.
Right.
Why do I always cry?
It's okay to cry, said my granddaughter.
Yes, exactly.
Harana
Thank you.
said.
So anyway, there's so much work to be done. And there's so much education to do the parents.
Right.
And that's why I propose parenting license. And maybe not to take care of the kids if they don't know how to do it. Maybe some tax incentives, you know. If they don't do this, don't give the 4 Ps. Right? Just educate them more on how to love, how to listen, how to make them feel they matter. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. As I always say, wonderful. As I always say, in order to be a lavandera, you have to have a skill of washing clothes. In order to be a driver, you have to have a skill of driving. In order to be a carpenter, you have to have skill. In order to be a parent, you have absolutely no skill that's required. Absolutely nothing. There's only one thing required to be a parent: have a child. And you are qualified. That's why your concern is so, so you are qualified. You don't have any skill, nothing. You just have a child. You are already, by definition, qualified to be called a parent. Nothing, no preparation, no skill. That's why I agree. I just don't know how to do it, but but that's one way. Yeah.
I know there's so many others who want to ask questions, but we still have one episode. So we're really very sorry. I know there's still people who really want to ask questions, but maybe there'll be a follow-up after this event. So Chris, yeah, thank you. Thank you for all your questions. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Bebeth, and thank you again, everyone, for all of your questions. Again, we wish we had more time, but we also have another exciting part here, but part of the program, which is the book launch. So I'd like to introduce Dr. David Bayot. I will read his introduction just to be sure. Okay. Dr. David Jonathan Bayot is the Go Kimpa Professorial Chairholder of Chinese Literature and the Liberal Arts at De La Salle University, where he is the executive publisher of its university press. He is author and co-author of 30 books, and is also the general editor of the Critical Voices series published by Sussex Academic Press. And we're very thankful, David, because you're launching and bringing my mom's first book to more people, and you did it in record time. So thank you so much.
I promise you that this exciting part will be very short. Our esteemed speaker for the seminar, Dr. Carandang, Dr. Chris Carandang, members of the MLAC Institute, mindful as well as heartful participants of today's seminar on healing the family, all of you, my very dear friends. The book we are launching today, Filipino Children Under Stress, was originally scheduled for release and launching on the last week of November. That is on the occasion of Dr. Carandang's 80th birthday. Sometime mid-July, the author called to ask me to dream an impossible dream, to see if there's any chance that the book could be released 3 months ahead of schedule and be made available for all of you today. The storms, the floods, and the enervating humidity we have experienced in recent weeks have made the production, especially the binding of this book, very tricky. The weather of the past 2 days has made the delivery, to say the least, of the books almost impossible. But luckily, my team and I survived the ordeal, and we were able to present the books to you this morning, as I had earlier promised. At this point, I have a clearer picture of my identity. I'm more certain than ever that I am now a legitimate member of the big, vast group of Filipino children under stress. Filipino Children Under Stress was published 35 years ago, and why, you may ask, is De La Salle University celebrating and launching it today as the inaugural, this is the first volume of the DLSU Classics book series. While reading through the book to decide if DLSU would take on the publisher's task of reissuing this long out-of-print book, a very unsettling memory came to mind. One time, I met to catch up with a friend. She's the mother of a child with autism. I'll never forget what she told me over faint smile and black coffee. That it's her biggest wish and deepest prayer that one day, when she and her boy are in heaven, she would finally be able to understand what the child is telling her and what the child has been wanting to tell her all these many years. While the countless Filipino children under stress are not all with autism, in a very significant way, I must say they are. Because like the boy of my dear friend, they are sentenced to silence by social and physiological realities that I must say are unfair to this condition of this most vulnerable sector of our society. My dear friends, this morning, I'd like all of you to know why De La Salle University Publishing House has decided to reissue Dr. Carandang's book on Filipino children under stress and why my team persisted to make the books available to you today. It is not at all about income generation because the book is out of print and there's a market. It is not because I succumbed to the friendly pressure of Dr. Carandang. She would never pressure me. She would just call me 10 o'clock in the evening to ask about the book. More or less, 9:55. Republishing this book is, my friends, is our way of making a version of heaven possible. No matter how imperfect it still is. Through this book, we wish to reach out to the children who are disconnected and silenced for various reasons to various degrees. We have chosen to keep the faith that with the partnership of their loving parents and their guardians, these children will not only be given the chance to talk, but they shall be capacitated to speak to themselves and to us in the most significant sense of the term. Here in this time and place, I must admit that every time I speak of the state of the children, especially Filipino children, I feel very much like the boy in the film The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, which recently won the Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film. The boy in the film said, "We have such a long way to go." What he is in fact saying is an echo of what is in our heart of hearts. How will we ever get to our destination? And when will that happen, if it will come to pass at all? I remember the horse told this to the little boy. When the big things feel off control, focus on what you love right under your nose. The boy then asked, "What do we do when our hearts hurt?" The horse replied, "We wrap them with friendship, shared tears and time, till they wake hopeful and happy again." Ladies and gentlemen, today it is with a big heart that I welcome this possibility of the many children and all those who love them waking up hopeful and happy again in due course. And on this note, please allow me the honor to present with deep gratitude the first copy of this insightful book of hope and happiness, published under the De La Salle University Classics book series, to our dear author, Dr. Maria Lourdes Hani Arellano Carandang. Thank you.
Okay.
Actually not sure what I'm supposed to announce here. Hannah, are we supposed to, okay. The books are signed. So, yes, okay. So it is our chance to,
maybe we can, Kasi hanggang 11:30 lang, no? So thank you very much to everyone who are here. Thank you for all your support. And like what Ma'am said a while ago, let's help more followers, people to get to know the message that we heard this morning. Maraming salamat po sa mga nanonood online. A few minutes ago, someone from Sorsogon was texting me that she was watching live. Maraming salamat ulit. And yes, for those who don't have signatures on their books yet, Tita can sign here in front. Dr. Honey can sign in front. Maraming salamat po ulit. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you, everyone. Spread the word for our children. Thanks for coming.